So I secretly bought plane tickets. First class. Booked a boutique hotel in the Latin Quarter that had amazing reviews. Made reservations at a Michelin-starred restaurant, the whole 9 yards. I was so proud of myself for pulling it together without her knowing. The plan was to surprise her on our actual anniversary. I was supposed to be on a business trip that week, but I'd arranged to fly back early. I'd come home with the tickets, roses, champagne. We'd leave for Paris the next morning. It was going to be perfect. Here's where things went wrong. Or right, depending on how you look at it. My business meetings finished earlier than expected on Friday. Instead of staying another night in Chicago like I'd planned, I decided to come home a day early. I could surprise Vanessa a day before our anniversary, make it an even longer celebration. I didn't call ahead. Why would I? It was a surprise. I wanted to see her face when I walked in with flowers and told her we were going to Paris. I stopped at a florist near our house and bought 24 red roses. Expensive ones, the kind that actually smell like roses instead of nothing. Then I drove home, thinking about how happy she was going to be. But there was another car in the driveway too, a blue Honda Civic that looked familiar but I couldn't quite place. Probably one of her friends, I figured. Maybe they were having a late lunch or working on a project together. I walked up to the front door, roses in one hand, my overnight bag in the other. The door was unlocked, which wasn't unusual. We lived in a safe neighborhood and Vanessa often left it open during the day. I stepped inside. The house was quiet. Too quiet. "Vanessa?" I called out. "Honey, I'm home early." No response. I set down my bag and walked further into the house. Maybe she had headphones on, working on a design project. She did that sometimes, got so absorbed in her work that she didn't hear anything else. I walked past the living room, down the hallway toward our bedroom. The door was partially closed, which was odd. We usually left it open during the day. And then I heard it. Sounds that made my stomach drop. Sounds that I recognized immediately, but my brain refused to process for several long seconds. I stood frozen in the hallway, roses still in my hand, listening to my wife with another man in our bedroom. What I saw is burned into my memory forever. Vanessa and a man in our bed. Our bed. The bed we'd picked out together. The bed where we'd slept next to each other for 10 years. It took me a few seconds to recognize the man. And when I did, it was somehow even worse than I'd imagined. Kyle. My cousin. My mother's sister's son. We'd grown up together. Spent summers at our grandmother's house. He'd been at our wedding. I'd helped him move into his apartment last year. They didn't notice me at first. Too preoccupied. But then Vanessa looked up and saw me standing in the doorway. The look on her face. Pure terror. She screamed and pulled the sheets up. Kyle turned around, saw me, and went pale. "Isn't what?" I asked. My voice was surprisingly calm. Too calm, the kind of calm that comes right before an explosion. "Isn't you fucking my cousin in our bed?" "You didn't mean to what, Kyle? Accidentally fall into bed with my wife?" The roses were still in my hand. I looked down at them. 24 red roses. $60 worth of romantic gesture. I'd been so excited to give them to her. I threw them on the floor. "Get out," I said to Kyle. "Get dressed and get out of my house right now." He didn't need to be told twice. He grabbed his clothes and practically ran out of the room, not even fully dressed. I heard the front door slam a minute later. Vanessa was crying now, still wrapped in our sheets. "Michael, please let me explain." "Explain?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "What is there to explain? I come home early to surprise you for our anniversary, and instead I find you in bed with my cousin. Seems pretty self-explanatory." "It just happened," she sobbed. "We didn't plan it. It was a mistake." "It just happened?" I repeated. "How many times has it just happened, Vanessa? How long has this been going on?" She looked down, which told me everything I needed to know. "How long?" I demanded. 6 months, she whispered. 6 months. Half a year. While I was traveling for work, thinking about her at home, missing her, planning this perfect anniversary surprise. She'd been sleeping with my cousin for 6 months. "Did you do it in our bed every time?" I asked. "Or did you at least have the decency to use a hotel sometimes?" "Answer the question." "Usually here," she admitted. "And you were traveling. It was convenient." Convenient? She'd been having an affair with my cousin in my own house because it was convenient. "I was planning to end it," she said quickly. "I was going to tell him this week that it was over, that I wanted to work on our marriage." "Oh, how noble of you," I said. "Were you going to tell him before or after our anniversary?" She didn't answer. Let me guess, I continued. You weren't going to tell him at all. You were just going to keep sleeping with him while pretending everything was fine with me. How long before you plan to end it? Another 6 months? A year? Just what? A distraction? A way to pass the time while I was working to support us? What was he, Vanessa? I was lonely, she said. You're always gone. Kyle was here. He paid attention to me. Made me feel wanted. So this is my fault? I was getting angrier now. Because I work? Because I travel for the job that pays for this house and everything in it? That's exactly what you meant. You're trying to justify cheating on me with my own cousin because I wasn't home enough. I looked around our bedroom, the room where we'd slept together for years, or we'd talked about our future, about having kids someday, about growing old together. All of it a lie. I have plane tickets to Paris in my bag, I said. First class. A hotel in the Latin Quarter. Reservations at a restaurant you've been wanting to try. I spent months planning this surprise for our anniversary. She started crying harder. But you know what? I continued. I'm still going to Paris. Just not with you. Maybe I'll take my brother. Or some friends. Anyone but you. Michael, please, we can work through this. Therapy. Counseling. I'll do whatever it takes. Work through this? I looked at her like she was insane. You've been having an affair with my cousin for 6 months. In our house. In our bed. What exactly is there to work through? 10 years of marriage, she said desperately. That has to count for something. We can't just throw it away. You already threw it away, I said. The moment you decided to sleep with Kyle. You made that choice, not me. I turned and walked out of the bedroom. Started throwing my clothes into suitcases. Everything I'd need. I wasn't staying in this house another night. Vanessa followed me, still wrapped in a sheet, begging me to stay. To talk about it. To give her another chance. Where are you going? She asked. Hotel, I said. And then I'm calling a lawyer. I want a divorce. And I want this house sold. I'm not paying for a place where you slept with my cousin. Please don't do this, she sobbed. I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. I'll never see Kyle again. I'll do anything. I stopped packing and looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman I'd loved for 10 years. The woman I'd planned to spend my life with. And I felt nothing. No love. No affection. Just disgust and anger. You know what the worst part is? I said. It's not even that you cheated. People cheat. Marriages end. But you chose Kyle. My cousin. Someone I trusted. Someone who was at our wedding. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed my entire family. I'm sorry, she whispered again. Sorry doesn't fix this, I said. Nothing fixes this. I finished packing and walked out. Drove to a hotel downtown and checked in. Then I sat in that anonymous hotel room and tried to process what had just happened. I'd woken up that morning excited to surprise my wife with a dream anniversary trip. Now I was sitting alone in a hotel room, planning a divorce. I called my brother first. Told him everything. He was furious. Wanted to go find Kyle and beat the hell out of him at it. I talked him down. Told him it wasn't worth it. Then I called my mom. That was harder. Having to tell her that her nephew had been sleeping with my wife. Watching her family get torn apart by this betrayal. She cried. Asked how this could have happened. I didn't have answers. Vanessa tried calling me dozens of times that first night. I didn't answer. What was there to say? She'd sent text messages too. Long, rambling apologies. Promises to change. Pleas for another chance. I deleted them all. The next day, I called a lawyer. A good one. Explained the situation. She was sympathetic, but professional. Adultery is grounds for fault-based divorce, she said. And given that it's with a family member, that's even more damaging to her case. We can definitely use this. I filed for divorce that week. Vanessa contested it at first. Wanted to try counseling, drag things out. But eventually she accepted it was over. The divorce took 4 months. I got a good settlement. The house was sold and we split the proceeds, though I made sure I got the bigger share since I'd paid most of the mortgage. She tried to claim she deserved more because she'd given up career opportunities to support my travel schedule. My lawyer shut that down fast. Kyle tried to apologize once, showed up at my office building, waiting in the parking lot. I told him if he didn't leave immediately, I'd call security. He left. As for those Paris tickets, I did use them. Took my brother like I'd said. We had an amazing time. Drank expensive wine, visited museums, ate incredible food. It wasn't the romantic anniversary trip I'd planned, but it was exactly what I needed. A reminder that life goes on, that I could still enjoy things even after everything had fallen apart. My brother made a toast on what would have been my anniversary night. To Michael, he said, who deserves better than what he got, but who's going to be just fine anyway. We clinked glasses and I realized he was right. I was going to be fine. Eventually, I still think about that day sometimes. Walking into my house with roses, so excited to surprise my wife, only to get the worst surprise of my life instead. The look on Vanessa's face when she saw me. The pathetic sight of Kyle scrambling to get dressed. Part of me is actually grateful it happened when it did. If I'd come home at the expected time, I never would have known. I might have taken Vanessa to Paris, had a romantic anniversary, continued living a lie. The affair might have gone on for years. Finding out the way I did was brutal, humiliating. The kind of thing you see in movies and think, that would never happen to me. But it did happen. And I survived it. Vanessa reached out a year after the divorce. Wanted to meet for coffee. Said she'd been in therapy. Worked through her issues. Wanted to apologize properly. I agreed, mostly out of curiosity. She looked different. Thinner. Tired. Less polished than she used to be. "I'm sorry," she said, for what must have been the 100th time. "I know you probably don't want to hear it again. But I need to say it. What I did was unforgivable. I destroyed our marriage, hurt you and your family, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life." "Why did you do it?" I asked. The real reason, not the "I was lonely" excuse. "You could have talked to me about those fears," I said. "We could have worked on them together." "I know, but talking about it would have made it real. Easier to just pretend everything was fine while acting out in secret." "And Kyle? Why him?" She looked ashamed. "He was available. Interested. It wasn't about him specifically, he was just there." That somehow made it worse. She'd destroyed our marriage and my family relationships for someone who didn't even particularly matter to her. Just because he was convenient. "Are you still seeing him?" I asked. "God, no. That ended the day you found us. He wanted to keep going, thought maybe we'd end up together after you and I divorced." I told him he was delusional. What we had wasn't real. It was just an affair. "What about you?" she asked. "Are you seeing anyone?" "Yeah," I said. "Someone who actually respects me. It's a novel concept." She winced, but nodded. "I'm glad. You deserve to be happy." We talked for about an hour. She told me about her therapy, her new job, her attempts to rebuild her life. I told her about Rachel, about my promotion at work, about learning to trust again. It was civil, almost friendly. But there was no connection anymore. No spark. She was just someone I used to know. Someone who'd hurt me badly, but who I'd moved past. As I left that coffee shop, I realized I'd truly forgiven her. Not because she deserved it, or because what she did was okay, but because holding on to the anger was exhausting. Letting it go freed me to fully embrace my new life. The anniversary surprise that destroyed my marriage ended up being the best thing that could have happened to me. It showed me who Vanessa really was before I'd wasted more years or brought children into a broken relationship. I learned that surprises aren't always good, that people you trust can betray you in the worst possible ways, that family isn't always there for you the way you expect. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive devastating betrayal and come out better on the other side, that ending something that isn't working, even after 10 years, is better than staying in it out of obligation. So here's to terrible anniversary surprises, to walking in on things you wish you hadn't seen, to roses thrown on the floor, and Paris trips taken with brothers instead of wives. And here's to starting over, to finding real love the second time around, to learning from your mistakes and choosing better partners. I'm 39 now, single father of no one, successful in my career, in love with a woman who would never betray me the way Vanessa did. The 10th anniversary surprise I planned didn't work out the way I expected. But 10 years later, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, just not where I thought I'd be a decade ago. And you know what? That's perfectly fine with me.